get you updated. This is Radio Imanzi News in English.
This is Radio Imanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Umuganwa. The headlines. The Minister of Gender and Family Promotion says they are working on a plan to encourage innovation, creativity and entrepreneurship in rural areas. About 105 toilets have been constructed in Kayunza district for households that did not have them in a move to boost hygiene. Several fishermen and restaurant owners in Dhaka have expressed concern over a seawater desalination plant under construction. Welcome back. Now news in detail. The Minister of Local Government has assured the residents of the city of Kigali that the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting will not cause any activities to be suspended. Minister Gatabazi made the remarks earlier today during a meeting with the city of Kigali authorities in preparation of the CHOGM meeting. The meeting comes after several Kigali residents expressed concern that the fact that the meeting will host about 6,000 delegates, including leaders, some activities may be suspended so as not to interfere with the flow of those leaders. Minister Gatabazi said that people should see this meeting as an opportunity for them rather than something to hinder their businesses. 40 heads of state and governments have already confirmed attendance for the upcoming heads of government meeting to be held in Kigali between 20th and 26th of June 2022. The Minister of Gender and Family Promotion says they are working on a plan to encourage innovation, creativity and entrepreneurship in rural areas in order to address the problem of rural-urban migration and unemployment, particularly among young people. This comes after residents of Kigali have repeatedly said that problems like theft and street begging are caused by people who move from rural areas to the city, believing that if they do not move, they will not be able to develop. Several people who moved from rural areas to the city say that life in the city is not what they expected. They believe that life in the city is very expensive, particularly renting a house, and that finding a good job is difficult. The health sector is said to experience a 25% budget cut in the 2022-2023 fiscal year, compared to the previous year following the decline in COVID-19 cases to near zero and a successful vaccination campaign. The disclosure was made during the budget hearing where the Ministry of Health and 6 affiliated agencies were defending their budget priorities for the next financial year before the Parliamentary Committee on National Budget and Patrimony. Compared to the over 371.8 billion for the current fiscal year, which will end on June 30th, the health sector budget for the next year was reduced by 93 billion Rwandan francs. Rwanda's health sector has been allocated over 278.1 billion Rwandan francs for the 2022-2023 fiscal year under the proposed national budget currently before Parliament. According to officials, the funds will be used to finance projects intended to improve health care, such as subsidizing mutuelle de santé and maternity and neonatology equipment, among others. About 105 toilets have been constructed for households in Kayonza district that did not have them. The government of Rwanda has put in place a number of efforts to ensure that people have access to good toilets, as they are crucial for the hygiene, health and sanitation of people. Local government authorities are working with communities to assist vulnerable families in rural areas to get decent toilet facilities as a way of boosting hygiene. The work includes provision of materials including iron sheets for the roofing of the toilets by the government, in addition to mobilization of citizens to come together and build toilets for their vulnerable counterparts. According to the World Health Organization, about 829,000 people in low and middle income countries die as a result of inadequate water, sanitation and hygiene each year.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
Uganda has called on digital innovators and financial technology companies across East Africa to take part in the third season of the country's 40 Days 40 FinTechs initiative. The platform provides a setting for the various players involved in digital and financial technology to exhibit their products and services and also share their ideas on how to include more people, especially those unserved and underserved by the present financial systems, with emphasis on interoperability. This third season of the event will for the first time cover physical destinations in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi and Rwanda. Tanzania has reduced the cost of fuel effective today following the 43 million fuel subsidy the government announced last month. The Energy and Water Utilities Regulatory Authority said oil marketing companies are free to sell their products at a price that gives them a competitive advantage, provided that such price does not exceed the price cap and is not below the floor price for the relevant product. The World Health Organization has said that it had no access to data about North Korea's COVID-19 outbreak, but assumed the crisis was deepening contrary to the country's reports of progress. North Korea, which has one of the worst health systems in the world, has not vaccinated any of its roughly 25 million people, having rejected jabs offered by the World Health Organization. However, the UN Health Agency has repeatedly cautioned against allowing the virus that causes COVID to spread unchecked, among other things, since it is more likely to mutate and produce new, potentially more dangerous variants. Several fishermen and restaurant owners in Dhaka have expressed concern over a seawater desalination plant under construction. They fear for the environmental impacts that could lead to a shortage of fish because of the waste from the plant. This comes a day after the Senegalese president, Macky Sall, participated in the groundbreaking ceremony of the plant. The authorities have argued that the plant will put an end to the water shortages that plague the lives of inhabitants of Senegal's capital. However, the pumping station is said to be installed on the beach. The Senegalese president assured the state took all measures to control the environmental impacts and preserve the marine ecosystem. The United Nations Rights Chief has held a decision by lawmakers in the Central African Republic to end capital punishment in the country. No executions have been carried out in the country since 1981, and last Friday lawmakers approved new legislation making death sentences illegal. It will become the 24th African country to have abolished the death penalty, and approximately 170 countries in the world have abolished or introduced moratoria of death penalties in law or practice so far.
Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi.
Now the Rwanda Stock Exchange market report. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 15,420,200 Rwandan francs worth of bonds traded in 3 deals on the fixed income market, and 86,000 Rwandan francs from 2,000 I&M bank shares traded in 1 deal on the equities market. Bralirwa closed the counter at 160 Rwandan francs. Bank of Kigali at 260 Rwandan francs. Simerwa at 120 Rwandan francs. M10 Rwanda at 178 Rwandan francs. Equity Bank at 440 Rwandan francs. Kenya Commercial Bank at 370 Rwandan francs. National Media Group at 1,200 Rwandan francs. Uchumi Supermarket at 104 Rwandan francs, and RH Buffalo closed the counter at 526 Rwandan francs as the market closed. The currency markets review of today. The Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.6 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 8.8. Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.43. and the selling price was 0.44. Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.26 and the selling price was 0.27. Burundian franc buying price was 0.49 and the selling price was 0.5. The US dollar buying price was 1,012 and the selling price was 1,032. The British pound buying price was 1,273 and the selling price was 1,299. The euro buying price was 1,081 and the selling price was 1,102 Rwandan francs. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition.